Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you What if Naruto was abandoned and awakened at Kekkei Genkai? Remember to give this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What if Naruto had the ultimate nature bloodline over an Anime King 3. And I enjoyed that guys. And stay tuned for a brand new episode coming over Anime King, which I hope you guys will enjoy. And if you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last part we left off. As Naruto watches a woman that helped him, took her final breath. But as to her wishes, he performed the jutsu. As Natsume couldn't believe that she had her real body back outside. As she could feel it. She could feel everything around her and her power coursing through her. But she had 6 tails. As the more of her power that Naruto mastered, the more of her tails shrink away. Until their powers completely merged together. As she went outside and performed a fireball jutsu that incinerated up in the air. As Naruto was surprised by the high velocity as he started to sweat. Yet she thought that it was nothing big, as she was ridiculously overpowered. They went towards the festival as Naruto was shocked at how stunning she looked. As they made their way there, she saw that he was acting all strange, but she wouldn't confront him unless he feel like he was ready to tell her that he actually had feelings for her. When some nobles came by to ask her to dance, she looked towards him, as she won't hear what he had to say as he told her to go and have fun. As the man that he was talking to tell him that he was a fool. After all, he could clearly see that he liked her, but why did he tell her to go ahead? As Naruto went outside, she was pissed off at him when he started to talk about what she deserved. He couldn't tell her how she should feel or anything. Naruto was utterly shocked when she kissed him, as he couldn't believe it. As he wondered if he was dreaming or something, but he was not, as she actually kissed him. He was shocked to his very core, as she told him that she liked him as well. The time passed like that with the both of them, staying at the hidden snow. Until this man appeared. His name was Sandy, as he asked for their help. It seems like Doton had killed his brother. He was the one that killed him, and the rightful heir of the throne was now back, and the man wanted his help. Hearing that it was Konoha ninjas that were coming to protect Koyuki, Naruto was kind of pissed off. But they would protect her from the shadows, as long as Sandio kept his mouth shut about them being here. As the man agreed, thankful for the help. When Naruto saw who it was though, he was pissed off as it was Kakashi, as he couldn't believe it. He was violent, as Natsume had to calm him down. As Naruto flared his chakra to give off the signal, as Kakashi, Sai, and Sakura, and Sasuke took on the shinobis, Fubuki and the others were in the mix, as Naruto and Natsume stay in the shadow, as they watch over the caravan. So yeah guys, those basically guys what I thought you guys can switch across the place, check out first episode to begin this new episode. After about a couple of minutes, Naruto and Natsume saw the group coming back. They had a few scratches here and there, but other than that they were completely fine. They had survived the attack from Nidori and the others. And once again Naruto and Natsume returned back to the shadows. The next day, morning rolled around, and the caravan and the crew made their way to a nice, hollowed out, decked out area that was decayed a long time ago, and the shape had turned into a perfect scene that they wanted to shot in the movie. Naruto and Natsume had made their way through the hollowed out cave as they went there to check if there was any trap or anyone there, but they didn't find anything of the sort. The crew started to unpack until one of the members rushed towards Sandio. "What's wrong?" the director asked, as he looked at the man. The man took several deep breaths. "It's Yuki. She's gone," he said. "What?" the director Sandio shouted. "I went to her cabin to let her know that she was needing makeup, but she wasn't in there, and the window was open, leading towards the valley." As he pointed down the hill that they were next to, lead to a dense valley down below. "Damn it," the director said. "Tell the rest of the crew to start looking for her. She couldn't have gotten that far. Let them handle this era. We're gonna spread out and look for her," said Kakashi. The four of them sent Chuck to their feet and started to jump down the hill. Meanwhile, with Naruto and Natsume, as bodyguards, they're really stupid. You think at least they would leave one of them near to the room that their client was staying in. Naruto grumbled as both him and Natsume were down in the valley. Well, she has a rather stubborn attitude, so unless it was Kakashi doing the watching, I doubt the others could have handled her. Not in danger wise, but in her attitude, and her cursing them off. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "You're the last person I figure would defend them, Natsu-chan," he said. "Oh, I'm not defending them. I'm simply tearing apart your idea." As she stuck out her tongue at him, that made Naruto laugh. As they continued their track down the valley, until they pick up her scent. "Natsu-chan, tell Sandio that she's fine, so that he doesn't go crazy. I'll bring her back." As she kissed him, as she entered her fox form and made her way off, as Naruto found Koyuki as she was unconscious in the snow. "Troublesome," said Naruto as he walked over, as he dropped his genjutsu and placed her on his back, as he began his walk back. As Naruto walked around, the place was filled with so much snow. As he turned the wrong way by accident, moving towards the other side of the ice cave. "God damn it!" he screamed, as he made his way inside. Sometime after, Koyuki woke up, as she found herself moving. "Huh? What's happening?" she asked. "You fell unconscious in the snow after running away." As Koyuki heard the masculine voice, but she did not recognize it. It wasn't the three kids or their sensei. As she realized she was on the back of an unknown man, and they were in a cave, but it was almost pitch black, so she couldn't tell exactly where she was or couldn't even see much. As her body tensed to try and escape, as he tried to recognize where she was. As Naruto felt her tense up. "You're in no danger. Please don't do anything drastic," he said. But she was still tense. Well, he couldn't really blame her. "Let me explain so you can be at ease. I'm a friend of Sandio-san. Along with the Konoha shinobi that has been accompanying you, I've been asked by him to seek your protection while you're filming the movie." As she relaxed a bit. "However, Sandio-san has also asked me and my companion, who's not here at the moment, to take care of a parasite that has been feeding off the land ever since he killed your father and forced you out of your rightful place as ruler, Kazahana Koyuki." The moment he said her real name, her whole body froze up in fear that this man knew who she was. "As I've said already, I'm working with Sandio-san to protect you. You're not in any danger," said Naruto. "But if you're still uncertain, I will let you walk on your own," he said. As the girl nodded as he placed her down softly. She then ran off. As Naruto sighed, as Koyuki bumped into something, as she came to a stop as Naruto grabbed her before she could fall. "You weren't going to make the return back trip easy, are you?" But she did not respond to him. "Believe me or not, but you're coming back with me," he said. What's your name?" she said. "The name is Arashi. Why do you ask?" "Is the companion you spoke of named Kekkei?" "Kekkei? My companion name is Natsume," said Naruto. "I see. Well, I'll believe what you say for now because Sandio told me about these shadow protectors named Natsume and Arashi." "Ah, so he told you," said Naruto. "And you asked me that question to see if I was telling a lie about my name. Well, my companions." Quite smart," he said. "He gave me a description of Arashi, but I cannot see you now. I won't cooperate until I see you fully." "Fair enough," said Naruto. As you can see, the cave up there is illuminated. As Naruto walked, as she walked behind him, as the light started to fill in, Koyuki saw him, his pointy ears and his tail. How the hell did she not feel the four tails switching behind her? "What's wrong?" said Naruto. You're a demon," she said, as she was afraid. Naruto was annoyed and amused. Well, it's not every day that you walk beside a demon without knowing it. He couldn't blame her. "Not exactly, but that doesn't really matter, does it?" said Naruto. As she looked so fearful, Naruto sighed. "Look, I'm not here to tell you about my past, and I'm not gonna eat you or something. If you want to know, the reason I'm helping is because my companion and I have been inside of snow for a year now, and the people here are really nice. And we would like to see nothing but good fortune fall on them. And seeing that you're the rightful ruler of the snow, and Doton is taking things out of whack, you should come back and control your people, and place your village back into a state of calm. And just for your information, although I'm just half demon, all demons aren't bloodthirsty killing machines. Koyuki gulped. Maybe she was taking things out of proportion. After all, when she didn't see his true self, he was nice. Sorry, Arashi, she said. You're right. I shouldn't automatically judge you, because you're part demon. And after seeing your features, you look like how Sandio described Arashi. Well, with some added features, she says. She looked at his tails, as Naruto simply waved it off. What I can't understand though is why you ran away. You know you could have died out there in the snow, right? She looked towards the ground. I don't even know why I'm going to tell you this, but it's because I'm no leader. I don't have the strength, the heart, or the will to lead the entire nation. I didn't even have the strength to help my father when Doton attacked. As tears fill her eyes. I see. Well, I can agree with you on that, said Naruto. You're definitely not a leader by running away. However, I've seen you in the movies, and the way you act as a princess in charge, taking lead, protecting your man, guiding them into battle. If you already know how to do it, I guess you're just keeping it in and putting on this shy persona. I believe that you already know what to do to rule your people and country, but you're just running away because you're afraid. But you're failing to realize one important fact though. A leader will never be alone. You will have your people. And leaders are never perfect. Sometimes you might make mistakes, but your flaws can be balanced out by your people who will help you. They can be your strength. Let the people be your courage. Let them be your conviction, said Naruto. Then, and only then can you be a true leader. When you look towards your people for aid and guide them and help them along the way as well. As Koyuki lowered her head as she listened to everything. Do you really think I'm good enough to lead them? She asked. Of course, said Naruto. And as I said, you won't be alone. Sandy will be there. And all the other citizens of Snow to help you along the way. Even myself and Natsu-chan will help if we can. Thank you, she says. She wiped away her tears. You're right. I will at least try my best, she said. It's not a problem, Koyuki-san. It's what friends do to one another. Well, if you want to be friends, said Naruto. Yes, I will like that. Arashi-kan, she said, with a smile. Good, said Naruto. We're almost at the end of the cave. Let's get out of here. The cave ground started to shake as the both of them turned. As Koyuki looked towards the rumbling, as she saw lights. Arashi-kan, we need to get out of here now, she said. Wait. As Naruto turned to look towards the ground, chakra-conducing metal, the ice was melting. Wait, what the hell is that, said Naruto, as he saw a giant black machine coming towards them. It's a train, she said, as Naruto grabbed her. As he started to run, the train was picking up on them. It's impossible. We won't make it in time, she said, as she was on his back as she held on to him tight. As Naruto started to laugh, she was confused why he was laughing. They were about to be run over. I just wanted to see how fast this thing was, said Naruto. You better hold on tight, he said. Koyuki was shocked. One moment they were running. The next moment she was still. He was no longer moving. Did they die? You can open your eyes now, said Naruto. As she opened her eyes, she was outside the cave entrance with the movie crew, only about 100 yards away. Wait, how? As Naruto placed her on the ground. Let's just say I'm fast, he said, with a smile on his face. Oh, so you're trying to impress her, huh? Naruto-kan, a voice said, as a poof of smoke could be seen as Naruto made a hand sign. As someone walked out of the forest. Well, that train thing was pretty interesting, said Naruto. I just wanted to test its speed. I hope he wasn't too annoying. I know he can be sometimes, said Natsuma. She placed the arm on Naruto's shoulder. No, he was great help, actually. Oh, he's always a delightful helper. As Natsuma placed a kiss on Naruto's lips. As Koyuki blushed, she turned her head. So, she coughed. You're Natsuma, the one that Sandio-san tell me about, I presume. Yes, that is me. Thank you for helping me and all of Snow Country, Koyuki bowed in response. Snow helped us in the past, so now we will help it by helping you, said Natsuma. Naruto-kan, what is going on? She seems different. Natsuma mentally asked Naruto. We had a little heart-to-heart back in the cave. I guess she changed her mind. That's my precious little Naruto-kan. Always. Bringing the best out in people. Seems I can do that, he said. Koyuki-chan, you should get back with the group and Konoha Shinobi before that train gets out. Koyuki nodded, as she couldn't believe that the train hasn't yet exited yet. Sandio-san probably told you already, but remember to keep our involvement secret. As she nodded politely. Good luck, we'll be watching. As the both of them vanished in a flicker of flames. As Koyuki made it back to the group. Sorry for just running off like that, she said. Kakashi waved it off. It's alright. As long as you're alright, that's all that matters, he said. But the train then suddenly come to a stop, a few meters away from the caravan. After a few minutes, Doton himself emerged. As he spoke with a microphone to enhance his voice. Welcome home, Koyuki. How much have I missed you, he said. Because of your miraculous return, I personally would like to invite you to my castle to have a little chat, he said. Before she could say something, a voice shouted out, Doton Kazahana, murder of the real leader of the snow. As Sandio stood there, with the rest of the snow resistance surrounding him. I, Sandio, the leader of the 3rd division of a true daimyo, Kazahana, Setsu, hereby placed you under arrest for the crime of treason against his country. As a court officer to the daimyo, I hereby place judgment on your crime, and I find you guilty by the highest degree, and your punishment will be death, the man said. As Doton laughed, pathetic. Neither, I thought you defeated all of the resistance a month ago. Sorry, Doton-sama. It seems some of them managed to survive. It doesn't matter. Open them up. As the train started to open up compartments, Doton snapped his finger as kunais rained down on the samurais, thousands of them. As the samurais came to a stop, they were going to be slaughtered until a massive wall of ice erupted, stopping all of the kunais. Arashikon, said Koyuki as she looked around. Kakashi heard what she said as she whispered though. Doton cursed as he looked around, but he did not see anyone. Kakashi gave his team the signal as explosions went off. As the snow came running down the avalanche, slamming right into the train, blocking it up. As the bridge broke down and the train fell. But Doton's area was lifted up by a balloon. As Kakashi's team flashed beside him when the train was escaping, much to their annoyance. Good job, team. Sai, were you able to do what you were needed? Yes, Kakashi-sensei. There's currently one of my ink mice on Doton's train. Good. We'll keep this as an option if he becomes too much of a nuisance and he has to be dealt with. However, our mission remained to keep Koyuki protected. As Kakashi turned as he saw Koyuki yelling at the samurais for doing something so stupid they would have all died, until a loud buzzing sound could be heard. As one of the members had stayed behind and he shot a grapple that grabbed Koyuki and yanked her towards him. As he held on to her tight and flew towards the blimp. Damn it, said Kakashi. Sai. As Sai nodded, as Kakashi turned towards the film crew and told them that they were going after them. Meanwhile, what do you think, said Naruto? Well, why don't we go and handle Doton's army? Said Natsume with a smirk. It has been so long since she got her hands dirty, as she was up for some fun. Time skip as Team 7 followed Sai as he was able to track his ink mice, but it brought them away from the castle. As there was a second blimp, it must have picked up Doton and Nidori. As he looked on Doton's castle, far off in distance. This was a setup, he said. What do we do now, said Sakura. It's obvious. We get back to the castle. As they nodded as they made their way off. Kakashi was confused after an hour of running, when they saw absolutely no one blocking their path. That was confusing. When they were halfway going past, Kakashi heard a whistling sound. Move, he says, they all move apart, as a hailstorm of kunai rained down on them. Attached to the kunais were ice bombs. When they explode, they released ice spikes. As they did, Kakashi and his team had to separate so they wouldn't be impaled. Kakashi felt a presence as he looked up. As expected, not even a single scratch, said Nidori. An ambush, huh, said Kakashi. Doton must be getting desperate, said Kakashi, as he pulled his kunai. Don't be silly, Kakashi. You and your team are the least of his worries, since my team and I are his bodyguards. And it's not you that anyone should be worried about, because you're far from being dangerous to any of Doton's plans. Kakashi narrowed his eyes. If Doton didn't believe that he or the samurais were his threats, then who do you think it was? But he didn't have time to waste as they engaged in battle. Meanwhile, with Sasuke. Oh, so I get to play with a pretty boy, huh? Said Fubuki, as Sasuke narrowed his eyes. This time, he was gonna finish his battle once and for all, as he took on Fubuki, with Sai and Sakura, as they end up by the frozen lake. Seems I get the weirdo and the girl, said Misery. Huh, couldn't I have gotten a stronger opponent? Well, it doesn't matter, as he raised his arms. I'm gonna crush the both of you. The battles didn't really last that long. Sai and Sakura together were able to take down Mizore, and Sasuke took down Fubuki after seeing that the weakness of the armor when they met back with the other two because they weren't so far separated as they managed to hit them together and knock them out. But the crazy thing about it was they kept on moving, and when they arrived, what they saw horrified them. Blood, flesh, bodies were torn and ripped apart mercilessly. Sakura puked as they quickly got out of there as they found the samurais. The samurais that were fighting with Sandio earlier, as they didn't know what the hell happened there. Those couldn't be the work of the samurais, because there was no dead body of the samurais. And if they were that strong to take out all of the snow ninjas, that was really impressive. But they didn't believe that one bit. And if it was them samurais, did not rip bodies apart like that. That was just inhumane, monstrous. Sandio nearly had a heart attack as Kakashi appeared out of nowhere. What happened here, he asked. As they had the prisoners, they handed them over to the samurai, Fubuki and the others. As Kakashi, I want to know what the hell happened here. Well, to be honest with myself and my mind that survived, we don't exactly know what happened here. It all seemed like a blur. But what you saw out there was Doton, personal army that he has been building for the past few months. Myself and my group were planning to use guerrilla attack to take out the army, blunt force before moving in for direct attack. But then something came in and attacked the army. Moving in front of us, it was two of them. They moved at speed and grace. I could never imagine someone moving light. It was just a blur. We couldn't even see who exactly they were. But one was red and one was orange. They took down all of the ninjas, 500 in total, within minutes. And they were Chunin ninjas and Jonin ninjas. It scared me to the depths of my soul that the bloody Fox Pack was on their side instead of ours. Blood Fox Pack? Said Sakura curiously, still horrified by the scene that she just saw. Well, when they were finished, we saw their forms. They looked like kitsune. They had slitted eyes, bloody fangs, and they were covered in blood. And their expressions were showing pleasure of what they had just done to the army. I've never seen anyone or anything kill and enjoy that much. Once they left, we decided to call them the bloody Fox Pack. So if anytime they're encountered in the future again in Snow Country, we would know what to call them. I see, said Kakashi. I don't know if they will be a threat to us. As Kakashi did not know if they were going to come after them, as he made a mental note to speak to Hokage about such powerful things lurking in the shadow of this land. I honestly don't know, Kakashi, but if you're asking my opinion, I don't think they're after us. In fact, they helped us. Kakashi nodded. Bloody Fox Pack, huh? At the moment, engaging these duels is not an option. Understood. As Kakashi looked towards his team that nodded. Good, now resupply and get any medical attention you can. We're leaving towards Doton Castle in 30 minutes. As Kakashi was thinking something, the body of Naruto was never found. As he wondered if this was somehow Naruto changing because of what was inside of him. He would have to inform Hokage about this, but it didn't make any sense. From what Sandio said, they were full-grown adults, and Naruto was just a child. He didn't know why, but he had a bad feeling that this involved Konoha for some reason. Meanwhile, in Doton's castle, you know you're not helping, said Naruto. I know sometimes our bloodlust get out of control, but do you have to do that, said Naruto as he watched her lick the blood off her finger. It's reminding me of what happened a few nights ago. Don't complain now because you didn't complain when we were in the forest. As Naruto blushed because he averted his gaze. Well, who would ever complain about the goddess? Won't you knew that badly, said Naruto. But we have to save Koyuki, he said. Excuses, well, I'll have you another time, she said that smirk. The both of them walked in straight to the castle, as there wasn't really anyone there that could stop them, and the few that remained didn't stand a chance. As Naruto had still been pissed when the man had leered after his woman so much. That is why he kicked the doors right out their inches. The giant double doors were blasted off as he stepped inside with Natsumai. I was wondering when you two would finally show up. After learning that you betrayed me, I know that you would come here, said Doton, as he stood there. Koyuki was being held by the throat as he had a kunai in his hand. Betrayed you? Whoever said we were loyal to you, said Natsumai. I suppose that is technically true. You never swore allegiance to me, but that doesn't matter now. But if you don't leave, and if you get in my way, as he moved the kunai across her throat, as the thing nicked her. You know you're quite stupid, said Naruto. If you kill her, what other protection will you have? And I'll rip you to pieces without blinking. But you know what? Let's have a duel. Just you and me. If I win, you give Koyuki hand to us. Well, you wouldn't have an option. But if you win, we leave you alone to do what you want. What do you say? Are you going to accept my deal or to ask? Well, two things first. That demonic chakra of yours is off the table. Just your normal chakra. And also, if I win, you give me her. She'll become my personal slave. What the hell did you just say? Said Naruto. His tone becoming cold. Natsume placed a hand on his shoulder, calming him down. She gave him a nod. She knew that he could do this. Very well, said Naruto. Pick your place to duel. He was gonna enjoy ripping this man apart. Follow me, said Doton. Meanwhile, with Team 7, they appear in the rec room as the doors had been blasted off their hinges. Kakashi noticed the footprint. It seems he got away, said Sai, in his usual calm tone. For now, but we'll find him, said Kakashi, as he sliced his finger with a kunai and went through hand sign. As he slammed his hand down. Yo, Kakashi. Pakon and his crew arrive. As Kakashi explained to them as they nodded. As they started to sniff the entire place to get a track on his scent. Pakon then came back. Kakashi, we found his scent, but there's something else. Other than this man Doton, there was two other scents. Their scents kind of remind us of Fox. And they were here with him. They followed his scent off. Kakashi looked back toward the door. As he looked towards the footprint that had kicked in the doors. So they were here as well. Kakashi simply nodded. Right now that we need to find Koyuki quickly. As Pakon nodded as they start to move, followed by Team 7. Meanwhile, with Naruto and Natsume, Doton was flying, as the both of them were chasing after him. As he came across a gigantic valley, where he finally settled down, as he placed Koyuki on the ground rather roughly behind him. Suddenly, she was grabbed and taken away. I thought we had a deal, he said as he looked towards Naruto, as Natsume had Koyuki. Well, we still do, said Naruto. She's just being kept safe. I see, well it's still me and you. I'm glad at least some shinobis have kept their dream of honor. The stupid ones, he thought to himself. I'm done talking, said Naruto. Let's do this, shall we? Very well, said Doton. As he looked towards Natsume and Koyuki, as he looked towards Natsume and his eyes roamed over her. She would be a good slave. The next moment he had to move, as his face was nearly caved in, as Koyuki could not see what happened next as they were moving so fast. But Natsume simply smirked, as Naruto was enjoying beating the crap out of Doton, as the both of them jumped back, as Doton scowled as he spat, blood coming from his mouth. He flashed you hand sign, ice style, destruction dragon, fierce tiger. 5 large tigers erupted from the snow, as he gave chase after Naruto, as Naruto jumped in the air. Got you now, said Doton, as the tigers went up as well. As Naruto flashed through a couple of seals rather quickly. Wind style, great wind breakthrough. The massive gust was larger than Doton expected as the tigers were ripped apart. As Naruto landed without any scratch on him. Not bad. Well then, I'll be ending this right now, said Doton, as he shed his clothing revealing his own chakra armor. Good. At least you're showing something different. The fight earlier was really pathetic on your side, said Naruto. As Doton clenched his fists, but he didn't simply smirk. Ice release. Twin Dragon Blizzard, he screamed. 2 dark colors burst from Doton's arm and shot towards Naruto incredibly fast. As Naruto brought his arms in front of him, the dragons picked him up and slammed him down into the cold lake. As Doton laughed. Seems even him couldn't stand up to me. And now it's all over, he said. And now, as my personal slave, that mouth of yours that you use to talk so much, I want you to get on your knees. And he paused as the place started to rumble as a massive ice dragon emerged. Doton had to leap away as he crashed over to the side as something hopped out of the hole. As Naruto trembled, whoa, that was cold, he said. What took you so long, Naruto-kun? You made a deal. Were you actually gonna let me be used like that, she asked. Of course not, said Naruto. And yet you took so long. You know what? We're not sleeping together for a month. As Naruto was visibly taken aback by that. As Naruto flashed behind her as he placed an arm around her. It won't happen again, he said, as he nibbled on her ear. as it was a rather sensitive spot for her. She leaned back in his embrace as she felt shivers going down her spine. Doton stood there. Did he forgot that they were fighting? Damn you, knowing that my ears are my sensitive spot. I'll get you back for this, she thought. Hey! Doton shouted, as Naruto looked back over at him. You nearly got me a month of being alone, said Naruto. And now you're raising your voice at me. As Naruto released her, as he stepped forward, Doton didn't waste any time as he flashed through hand sign, creating back the twin ice dragons. But this time there was more than two, as Naruto pulled out his father kunai from his back pouch. Better time than any, he said. As Naruto threw the kunai towards Doton, the man simply looked at it with pity. How can a ninja aim be so pathetic? What are you gonna do now, Arashi? Do you really thought that was gonna hit me, Doton said. Why don't you just stand there and die? As the black dragons raced towards Naruto. As Natsume simply laughed. If only this fool knew who he was really up against. As she shook her head, as Naruto held out his hand, as chakra started gathering his palm, it formed a purple ball of swirling chakra. Let's end this, shall we? As Naruto appeared in front of Doton, the man was shocked to his core. He then took a better look at the kunai that was at his feet. He remembered seeing something like that before in the past. No. That's a fourth Hokage of Konoha, his signature technique. But that's impossible. Oh, so you know of my father, said Naruto. Father? Yes. The real name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, said Naruto. I figure I should tell you in your last moments. So hold on to this for me. Rasengan, said Naruto as he slammed it right in the front of the man's armor. The armor creaked and exploded. As blood exploded on Naruto as his Rasengan was a lot different. After all, the chakra, the demonic chakra was in his system. And the Rasengan chakra was grinding as it teared into Doton. The man screamed out in pain and agony before his body was blasted away. His chest completely shredded. As Naruto looked at himself, damn it, I just got clean. As he moved towards the lake and washed himself off. Impressive, Naruto-kun, a well-fought battle. I especially like the ending. For a moment there I thought I would have to tear Doton to pieces if he tried to touch me. And then I would have to, well, hurt you for leaving me and fail in the duel. And I would be rather disappointed. You know I would never do something like that, said Naruto. Koyuki hadn't seen what happened when they first. Blood sprayed from Doton's chest as she turned away. The scene was too gruesome for her. And yet these two were acting so nonchalant and calm about it. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Asked Koyuki. As Naruto waved her off. Just fine, he said. As Naruto looked around, they're coming, he said. Who? Asked Koyuki. The Konoha shinobi. They will be here in a couple of minutes. Naruto-kun, we should leave. Before those four get any closer, said Natsume. As Naruto nodded. Koyuki-han, when Kakashi asks who saved you, would you mind saying that it was a bloody fox pack? Please don't tell him what we exactly look like or our real names. Just say that you were unconscious until we woke you after the fight and we were wearing masks, alright? I can explain my reasons later, but for now, can you do this? She bowed her head. Of course, she said. You two saved me. And you also gave me an outlook that I could be a leader. So, I'll make sure to keep your identity, she said. As the both of them nodded, before vanishing. A minute passed as Kakashi arrived at their side, with his team following behind him. Koyuki-san, where's Doton? Asked Kakashi, as she pointed over to the other side of the lake, where the mangled, torn up discarded corpse of Doton was. That's what's left of him. Who did this? Said Sasuke. They were called the Bloody Fox Pack. Them again? Said Sasuke. It's okay, Sasuke-kun. We've completed the mission. Sasuke thought that he would play a more bigger role in this mission, and yet, these two strangers got in the way and did the mission for them. The mission may have been complete, but it wasn't complete by us, Sakura. Other than the boat fight, these Bloody Fox Pack beat us at every turn, said Kakashi. Koyuki-san, I know this is difficult in this time, he said, as he saw that the girl must have seen that body over there. And the way it was mangled, it was kind of disturbing. But did you see anything that would give us a recognition of them if they become a threat in the future? Sir, but the both of them had masks on their faces. They woke me up after the fight. I was unconscious through it all. And they told me to tell you Ooh, stop the fighting. So they're trying to mock us that they did our mission. Is that it, huh? Said Sasuke. Well, if I find them, I'll show them who's the stronger one. Nonetheless, let us get Koyuki to safety. As he made his team went off with Koyuki as he made his way towards the body. Whoever did this didn't have the props for finesse. As the body was mangled badly, the chest was torn up. The jutsu used was like a blender. But the force of the jutsu must be immense, considering the fact that half of Dodo was over there, and that was lower half of him, while his upper half was right here. The force had blown his body clean off, and the carvings on the flesh. It kind of reminded him of his sensei jutsu, the Rasengan, but that was impossible. But if it was, could it be that somehow Naruto was out there alive? Hiruzen was already depressed that he could not find Naruto. And if this was really him, or if this was just some different people, and he'd be just bringing up more stress for the old man, he didn't know. But if Naruto was alive, and he was this powerful, and he was a threat to Konoha, precautions had to be made. He had to make sure that Hiruzen found out about this, as he sealed away Doton's 2 halves and made his way. Time skip. 4 months later, Kazahana Koyuki regained her rightful place at the head of Snow Country. Everything took a while, seeing that the castle was destroyed and it had to be rebuilt. But the movie crew finished their movie, a wonderful ending scene. But now everything was taken care of, and it was time for her to become the daimyo. As Koyuki thanked Team 7 once again. Are you sure that you don't want to rest for the night and head out in the morning, she asked, as they'd been here the entire time with her, keeping her safe until she became daimyo. Thanks. While we appreciate Snow hospitality, I'm afraid due to everything that happened on this mission, we should return home and report to Hokage. I see. And thank you all once again for protecting me, she said. If there's anything I can do for any of you, name it, she said. Actually, I would like some scrolls on Hayaton Jutsu, said Sasuke. He was still pissed off a bit about the bloody fox pack. Koyuki looked at him and she realized that the boy was serious. Sorry about Sasuke, Koyuki, said Kakashi. He's a bit on edge after hearing about that bloody fox pack, but he knows that it's disrespectful to ask for jutsus from other nations without a good reason or for something valuable in return. Doesn't he? Said Kakashi. I see, she said. Once again, I'm sorry for not being able to tell you anything about their identities. As Kakashi waved her off, you couldn't help it, he said. But if I may ask for something, my team and I would like to take a truck back to the harbor. Of course, she said. As she clapped her hand at someone into the room, Akin-san, please make sure a truck take this crew towards the harbor. As you wish, said Akin. Oh, as she pulled out something and gave it to Koyuki. This came in the mail today. I had kept it until the celebration calmed down, so that you could read it at your leisure. As she bowed and left. As Koyuki looked at the script in her hand. A script for another movie. Wonder if I can be an actress and be a movie star at the same time, she thought. As she lowered her hand as Sakura saw the name of the movie, Ichi Ichi Paradise, written by Jerry of the Sanin. Where has she heard that movie title before? She turned towards Kakashi, who was frozen. The man was shocked to his core as he looked towards Koyuki. Seems only porn can get a reaction out of him. Sasuke joked. The group looked at him shocked, even Kakashi snapped out of his stupor. Sasuke made a joke? Well, this is rather risky for my taste. There will have to be a lot of discussion first, she said, as Kakashi took a deep swallow, as he read that many times before, so he knew what to expect. My team and I should get going to the harbor. As she gave them one final nod. Safe trip back home, she said. And tell the Hokage thank you for giving me such great shinobis as bodyguards. As the group gave her one final nod before they left. As Koyuki sat down, she watched as the candles on the wall flickered. She figured it was nothing and she turned back towards the chair as she jumped when she saw Natsuma and Naruto standing there, in their true forms. She held on to her heart. Please, don't do that, she said. The two of them chuckled gently. Sorry, Koyuki-chan. Or should I say Sama, said Naruto. I think after what happened we're past formalities. Don't you agree, Arashi-kun? Natsuma-chan. How would the both of you like some tea, she said. The both of them shrugged. They wouldn't mind some tea. As they started to sip their tea. So, as Natsuma was flipping through the scripts. Well, you certainly have the body for it, she said. I wouldn't mind watching this movie. Don't you agree, Naruto-kun? I am not going to answer that question, said Naruto. Aw, you're no fun, she said. Well, except for in the bedroom, she said. I mean, as she started to talk, Koyuki started to blush, as this girl had no filters on her at all. She said what was on her mind, as Koyuki looked away. You know I'm still here, right? Said Koyuki. Of course not. Now, I know that you have some questions. Oh yes, I just want to know, why did you guys came to the snow? Do you think we should tell her the complete truth, Naruto-kun? Asked Natsume, as she talked to him telepathically. Well, she already knew that we're at least part demon, and she has kept her word secret about us. So perhaps we should tell her the truth. And if things go south, Snow Country can always find another leader, he said. Very well. Alright, said Naruto. Well then, it all started. It was early the next morning when they finished. Given that it was already late in the night, and for her credit, Koyuki did not freak out even once. These two had become our friends. And hearing about your friend's life and knowing to get more about them was something really good. And not to mention, she was quite pissed off at hearing the first part of the story. How could a mother ever do that to her child? That was just beyond anything she ever heard before. But still, by the end she was shocked. How could anyone have such a tough life? She thought that she had it bad, but he had it worse. And yet he was here, completely nice. Well, to the people that he wanted to be nice to his enemies he was ruthless. So what now, she said. You gonna stay and continue to train, she asked. No, we spent 2 years in the snow now. I think it's time to move on. I didn't want to get Naruto-kun caught at first in the fire country, so we passed here really quickly. But now I think it's time for us to go back and learn some fire jutsu, she said. You really think that's the best idea, said Naruto. I mean, I could just learn from you here. Well, although I do know a great lot, you should learn the basic in the country that is hailed for it. Besides, with the way you are now, and with me by your side, not many people can actually stop us. Well, even without me, not many people can actually stop you, she said. Plus, we knew that one day that we'll be heading back there. Yeah, said Naruto. Koyuki, on the other hand, wanted to ask him something. During the 4 months as the castle was being rebuilt, the council had asked her something. And given the fact that, from what she heard from the story, she wanted to ask them, Naruto-kun, Natsume-chan. What is it, said Naruto. I know you have future training plans, and I don't wish to impede on them, but there is something serious I want to ask you. Well, more directed towards Naruto-kun, but it will affect you as well, Natsume-chan. And what is that, Natsume asks. Well, in the last 4 months, the Snow Council and I have had several talks on the snow starting its own hidden village. I agree to this, hoping that it will make our country blossom, and not have to depend on other village for their help in certain degrees of missions. Unfortunately, most of us don't know how to start a shinobi village. We have people here that train in the snow arts, but it's not a village comprised of any ninja academy or anything like that. So I was kind of hoping that you can help us in this endeavor. Not only that, with a shinobi village, we need someone to be the village Kage, while I be the daimyo. And after getting to know you and see your strength in my own eyes, I would like to offer you, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, the position of first, Yuki Kage. You do not have to answer me now, of course. I could never expect an answer to such an important question so soon. But please think about it, and not if anytime soon, in the future. If you decide you want to take the offer, it's open to you, she said. To say that they were shocked was an understatement. None of them thought that she would have ever asked something like this. Maybe tried to help start the village, but to be the village Kage? Naruto? Well, that was surely a surprise. As Naruto spoke, thank you for your faith in me and my abilities, and for the opportunity of becoming the first Yuki Kage, he said, as he bowed his head in respect. But I think I need to hold off on answering. Although the offer is really appreciated and tempting, there's more things I need to learn, and some personal matters I need to take care of. But once those things are dealt with and I feel efficient enough to lead a shinobi village, I will be back to take up the charge of Yuki Kage, he said. She smiled at his seriousness. She was just glad that he was considering the job. Thank you for your honesty and consideration, she said, as she even bowed her head slightly towards him. As Natsume yawned softly. Well, your story took a long time, she said. You guys should get some rest. Once again, thank you for sharing your past with me. You showed us that we could trust you, said Naruto. As she smiled at that. Alright, have a safe trip, you two, and remember, don't be a stranger. As the both of them nodded before a red and purple flame engulfed them. Those two really are something. As Koyuki made her way to get some rest. A week later, Hokage's office. Team 7, reporting in Hokage-sama, say Kakashi. Ah, welcome back you four. I hope Yuki and the film crew wasn't too much trouble. Good, good. As Kakashi would be the one to stay behind giving the mission report as the others were dismissed. As the man sat down. What is wrong, Kakashi? Well, something happened on the mission. And what was that? I don't know, but I think we found him on the mission. Who was that? Naruto Uzumaki. Harrison's eyes widened. Explain, he said. Time skip. 6 months passed as they were in the land of fire, as they were not disturbed as no one found them. Natsume was able to teach Naruto the Uzumaki jutsu that she saw, and with his control and his technique, it was child's play for Naruto the master. And one of the first things he learned was that fire hates to be controlled, as he was trying out his fire fencing. But Natsume also noticed that Naruto was doing something privately. Yes, he was working on a couple of jutsus on his own. When she asked him, he told her that he was gonna surprise her when he finished them. And Natsume also told him that he will need a second sword. It was called the Azure Breeze, a wind affinity blade, and it was back where he found his first blade. As the both of them headed there, it was hard for her to come back here and remember the past. But with Naruto by her side, the both of them walked towards the back of the cave. As she nicked her thumb and write a unique seal on the cave, the wall pulled apart as it revealed a hidden room with many odd treasures that Naruto could not recognize. He was about to grab one of them, but she grabbed his hand and shook her head and pulled him to the back of the room. Resting on the wall was a blade. It had a black hilt like his blade, with a blue marking running around it. As she took the sword and held onto it, like she was remembering something from her past. She then turned as she handed it to Naruto. I failed to mention this was my first mate, Sword Naruto-kun, but since he's no longer here to wield it, I believe you're worthy to be its new master. As Naruto saw that this was precious to her, memory-wise, as he reached out and touched a blade, as he held onto it, as nothing happened, until a voice spread around the room. It's been a long time, Natsume-sama. That it has, said Natsume. As Naruto watched himself come out of the darkness, but this Naruto, he was bathed in pure white clothing. So this blade is sentient as well, said Naruto, as Natsume nodded. That I am. And I just want to say thank you for taking care of Natsume-sama after Aoshi-sama died. I have your memories, and you have my greatest thanks, the man said. Well, it was him. As Naruto gave him a nod. If you're planning to test me like the other blade did, we have to do so elsewhere. We're too close to Konoha, he said. You would be quite right, but I have no use for fighting you. You have already proven yourself to me. Your pains, trial, your push in the past is proof enough. As Naruto bowed, thank you, he said. From today on I will fight as your master. But before I leave, as he went to Natsume and whispered something to her, as his body vanished and flew into the sword, white particles. As Natsume seemed shocked. What's wrong? Naruto was cut off as she hugged him. As Naruto was confused, but he held on to her. Nothing's wrong, Naruto-kun, she said. After a while, he just told me that Aoshi-san wanted me to know that he's happy I move on and found someone who can make me happy again. Oh, and he said if you ever break my heart, he will find a way to come back to this world and fight you in his demonic form. As she giggled at that, well, he has nothing to worry about. If I ever hurt you, I would welcome death. It would be a just punishment versus a crime. How could I ever hurt someone like you? You always know the right thing to say, she said, as she planted a kiss on his lips. Another 6 months passed, as Naruto started training with both swords, learned how to use the both of them at the same time. It was a difficult feat. Oh, and they also make up with someone once again. Back in the hidden snow, one of Konoha's old spy in the zone had come there to find her. But when the spy found out that the woman was dead, it was a shock. But Naruto and Natsume was there, and they were able to talk to the spy, and now they were able to get information about the zone. It happened while Naruto was training. Fire release. Dragon flame projectile, said Naruto. As Naruto watched, its fire did not cause a wild explosion. That wasn't what he wanted. Not too bad. Not too bad at all, said Natsume, as he did perfectly what she thought he would do. As Natsume then sniffed, seems we have some company. As someone flashed in front of the Nessun chain and bowed. Nobu-san, said Naruto. Natsume-sama. Naruto-sama. I have my report from the sound as requested, since the sad demise of Kanami-sama. The young man said in a professional tone. The mention of their friend caused a bad feeling to stir. But she wouldn't want them to act like this, she'd want them to continue moving on. And she would have been happy to know that the two of them were finally together. What if you find out, Nobu? Said Naruto. Well, it seems like Orochimaru is gonna finally try to get his revenge on Konoha. He's preparing all of his ninjas for war. And he's gonna use the Chunin exams that are being held in the village. He seemed to have also gone ahead and sand to be his allies in this. I think he's just for his own gain. Like things that he always does, he doesn't really care about anyone. As long as he gets what he wants. I see, said Naruto, as he made a decision right there. Continue to act like a sound ninja. Once the attack happens, head to the Namikaze compound. You'll be protected there. Understood. As they nod as he flashed away. This is good, said Natsume. It will be good to get my hands on that damn snake and rip him apart. Later that night. Can't sleep, said Natsume. I've been thinking, said Naruto. In order to protect the people I want to, I will have to protect Konoha. Something that he didn't really want to do. Toki and Ayam are rather easy to protect. You just have to get them inside the compound. The seals should be able to protect them, but that girl that he saved, Hana, and not to mention the old man, they were going to fight to protect Konoha. So in doing so, he have to make sure that they were protected. While they rip Orochimaru apart. I guess you're right, said Natsume. I would never wish to save that common forsaken village. But the people that are important to you, I won't allow them to get hurt. Thanks, said Naruto. It's no easy feat for me to save those ungrateful bastards. She waved him off. Perhaps in the fight I'll take out a few Konoha shinobi. While I take out a few sound shinobi as well, she said, with a sadistic smile. Perhaps, said Naruto. But I'm not gonna join Konoha as a shinobi. Being tied down to that place is something I don't want to happen. But we need to make it look like we're on their side until the time is right. Yes, that would be best. Do you have any ideas? She asks. A few, but we'll have to think about them first. As she snuggled into his chest. You know, I think I have ideas, she said, without getting any unboos on our tail. Because if they tried to stop us, or even try to fight us, I would rip them apart, she said. After everything, none of them deserve our respect. Worse yours. As Naruto nodded, after everything those Konoha ninja did, they didn't deserve to be treated properly by him at all. But he had to make sure he could get in the village without raising suspicion. As she already knew what to do. The remaining 3 months had passed, as Naruto did nothing but hardcore training, until the day when they were finally ready, as Naruto activates Demon Art, Eternal Mass, as he turned into a perfect replica of Kakashi. As this was no normal transformation, so no one will ever know. And it was finally time as he returned back to the Hidden Leaf. Home, he said. Well, that's pretty much it, said Naruto, as he sat in the office. This whole time Naruto has been telling them what he has been to. Well, what he has been doing for the past 6 years. But he had left out a lot of things. Many things that he didn't want them to hear, and many things that he was not going to tell them. As the members in the room were speechless, as Naruto had been through so much in the past couple of years. But then again, the life of a Jinchuriki was anything but normal. But still, he has been through so much. However, with the story finished, there was more questions. Yes, and Hiruzen was dead set on hearing the answers for them. Okay, so let me get this straight. You left the village under the guidance of the bijuu, the strongest bijuu, who is female, who then proceeded to teach you the way of the shinobi. Hiruzen didn't know how strong Naruto was because Naruto left out a lot of his training trip. Yes, he didn't really tell them any jokes that he knew or how strong he was. And most of the fighting was edited out a lot. And during your training you learn how to release the Kyuubi from the seal and also become part demon yourself in the process. Is there anything missing? Hiruzen asks, as this was just throwing him to a loop. But guys, be in subscribe right here. For more things smart to do, like, subscribe, comment, no below, turn the bell notifications they posted. But I'm over now. See you guys soon. Peace.